Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the nation in 114th episode of his monthly program Mann Ki Baat. Hails media for playing an important role in helping to spread program. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar slams Pakistan in his UNGA address, says country is making a conscious choice of being left behind in the global order due to its karma. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati says his country had no option but the diplomatic option. Says intensified fighting may have forced up to 1 million people to flee parts of Lebanon. Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur go head-to-head in English Premier League tonight at Old Trafford. No new injury concerns for Red Devils ahead of the crucial match. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation on Sunday in 114th episode of his monthly program Mann Ki Baat on Sunday. India's Union Minister and BJP National President JP Nadda, along with Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami and other leaders, tuned in to the broadcast. People across the country watched the program and PM Modi thanked media channels for helping to spread Mann Ki Baat nationwide.
इस साल 3 अक्टूबर को जब मन की बात के 10 वर्ष पूरे होंगे, तब नवरात्रि का पहला दिन होगा। मन की बात की इस लंबी यात्रा के कई ऐसे पड़ाव हैं जिन्हें मैं कभी भूल नहीं सकता। मन की बात के करोड़ों श्रोता हमारी इस यात्रा के ऐसे साथी हैं जिनका मुझे निरंतर सहयोग मिलता रहा। देश के कोने-कोने से उन्होंने जानकारियां उपलब्ध कराई। मन की बात के श्रोता ही इस कार्यक्रम के असली सूत्रधार हैं। मन की बात ने साबित किया है कि देश के लोगों में पॉजिटिव जानकारी की कितनी भूख है। पॉजिटिव बातें, प्रेरणा से भर देने वाले उदाहरण, हौसला देने वाली गाथाएं लोगों को बहुत पसंद आती हैं। मैं आज दूरदर्शन, प्रसार भारती और ऑल इंडिया रेडियो से जुड़े सभी लोगों की भी सराहना करूंगा। उनके अथक प्रयासों से मन की बात इस महत्वपूर्ण पड़ाव तक पहुंचा है। मैं विभिन्न टीवी चैनल्स को, रीजनल टीवी चैनल्स का भी आभारी हूं जिन्होंने लगातार इसे दिखाया है। मन की बात के द्वारा हमने जिन मुद्दों को उठाया, उन्हें लेकर कई मीडिया हाउसेज ने मुहिम भी चलाई। मैं प्रिंट मीडिया को भी धन्यवाद देता हूं कि उन्होंने इसे घर-घर तक पहुंचाया।
PM Modi highlighted the success of the Swachh Bharat mission, celebrating its 10-year anniversary on October 2nd, noting its impact on promoting the Waste to Wealth initiative.
साथियों, स्वच्छता को लेकर जारी अभियान से हमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को जोड़ना है और ये अभियान किसी एक दिन का, एक साल का नहीं होता है। ये युगों युगों तक निरंतर करने वाला काम है। ये जब तक हमारा स्वभाव बन जाए स्वच्छता, तब तक करने का काम है। मेरा आप सबसे आग्रह है कि आप भी अपने परिवार, दोस्तों, पड़ोसियों या सहकर्मियों के साथ मिलकर स्वच्छता अभियान में हिस्सा जरूर लें। मैं एक बार फिर स्वच्छ भारत मिशन की सफलता पर आप सभी को बधाई देता हूं।
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday virtually laid the foundations of and inaugurated various projects in the Maharashtra state. The projects are worth over rupees 11,200 crore. PM Modi unveiled the Pune Metro section of District Court to Swargate, which marked the completion of the Pune Metro Rail project Phase 1. He also dedicated to the nation the Bedkin Industrial Area, which spread over nearly 8,000 acres under the National Industrial Corridor Development Program.
छत्रपति संभाजी नगर में लगभग 8,000 एकड़ में बिडकिन इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया का विस्तार होगा। कई बड़े बड़े उद्योगों के लिए यहां जमीन अलॉट हो गई है। इससे यहां हजारों करोड़ का निवेश आएगा। इससे हजारों युवाओं को रोजगार मिलेगा। निवेश से नौकरी पैदा करने का ये मंत्र आज महाराष्ट्र में युवाओं की बड़ी ताकत बन रहा है।
India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, speaking at the 79th session of the UN General Assembly on Saturday, took a jibe at Pakistan over the terrorism that it harbors, saying the country is making a conscious choice of being left behind in the global order due to its karma.
Many countries get left behind due to circumstances beyond their control. But some make conscious choices with disastrous consequences. A premier example is our neighbor, Pakistan. Unfortunately, their misdeeds affect others as well, especially the neighborhood. When this polity instills such fanaticism among its people, its GDP can only be measured in terms of radicalization and its exports in the form of terrorism. Today, we see the ills it sought to visit on others consume its own society. It can't blame the world. This is only karma. Madam President, a dysfunctional nation coveting the lands of others must be exposed and must be countered. We heard some bizarre assertions from it at this very forum yesterday. So let me make India's position perfectly clear. Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed, and it can have no expectation of impunity. On the contrary, actions will certainly have consequences.
In a powerful speech, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that the issue to be resolved between the two countries is only the vacation of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir by Islamabad and the abandonment of its long-standing attachment to terrorism.
The issue to be resolved between us is now only the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory by Pakistan, and of course, the abandonment of Pakistan's long-standing attachment to terrorism.
Amid the ongoing Ukraine and Gaza conflicts, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at UNGA cautioned that the world cannot be fatalistic about the continuation of violence on a large scale, asserting that the international community seeks urgent solutions and its sentiments must be acknowledged and acted upon.
The world cannot be fatalistic about the continuation of violence on a large scale, no more than be impervious to its broader consequences. Whether it is the war in Ukraine or the conflict in Gaza, the international community seeks urgent solutions. These sentiments must be acknowledged and acted upon.
Strongly supporting the theme of 79th UNGA, leaving no one behind, India's External Affairs Minister also highlighted the need for more representative United Nations and reform in multilateral system. He urged all UN members to come together to change the world for better.
Let us therefore send out a clear message from this UNGA session. We are determined not to be left behind. By coming together, sharing experiences, pooling resources, and strengthening our resolve, we can change the world for the better.
In international updates, Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati said in a televised speech on Sunday that his country had no option but the diplomatic option, in response to a question about diplomatic efforts to end Israel's escalation against Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Lebanon's Information Minister Ziad Makari said during a cabinet session on Sunday that diplomatic efforts for a ceasefire with Israel are in progress. Makari also emphasized the Lebanese government's desire for a ceasefire, noting that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's trip to New York was based on this promise, in fact. And however, he mentioned that challenges remained, particularly in light of decisions surrounding the assassination of Nasrallah. The Israeli army announced on Sunday the killing of another senior Hezbollah figure, Nabil Kaok, following the elimination of prominent leaders including Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. This occurred amid ongoing strikes between the two sides. The Israeli military said that its air force targeted dozens of Hezbollah terror targets in Lebanon, which included launchers aimed at Israeli territory, weapon storage facilities and other Hezbollah infrastructure. Israeli military on Sunday said that it had struck dozens of Hezbollah targets in Lebanon in the past hours, including launchers aimed toward Israel, weapons depots and terrorist infrastructure. The IDF released a video on Sunday said to show strikes on various Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The statement came 2 days after Israel killed Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah in a powerful airstrike in Beirut, dealing a heavy blow to the Iran-backed group as it reels from an escalating campaign of Israeli attacks. The statement further said Israel would continue to operate to degrade and dismantle Hezbollah's capabilities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah a historical turning point that could change the balance of power in West Asia. He, however, warned of challenging days ahead. The Israeli military on Saturday said it had eliminated Nasrallah in the strike on the Hezbollah's central command headquarters in Beirut.
The state of Israel eliminated the arch-murderer Hassan Nasrallah. He and his people were the architects of the plan to destroy Israel. He was not only operated by Iran, he also frequently operated Iran. The elimination of Nasrallah is a necessary condition in achieving the objectives we have set, returning the residents of North safely to their homes and changing the balance of power in the region for years.
Reacting to Israel's killing of Nasrallah, US President Joe Biden said that a measure of justice for Hezbollah chief's many victims. He added that Washington fully supported Israel's right to defend itself against Iran-backed groups. In a statement released by the White House, Biden said that Nasrallah and the terror group he led were responsible for killing hundreds of Americans over a 4-decade reign of terror. When asked by a reporter whether an Israeli ground invasion of Lebanon was inevitable, Biden said it was time for a ceasefire. The Conservative Party's opposition in Britain convenes for their annual conference on Sunday, engaged in a struggle over the party's future direction. The 4-day meeting in Birmingham, central England, comes 3 months after the Tories were ousted from the power by Labour. The get-together will see 4 candidates audition in front of parliamentary colleagues and grassroots members as they bid to replace ex-Premier Rishi Sunak as the next Tory leader. Kemi Badenoch, Robert Jenrick, James Cleverly and Tom will all make pitches in Britain's second-largest city. A day after Israel eliminated Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, Iran has called for a United Nations Security Council meet over Israel's action in Lebanon and across West Asia. The country strongly warned against any attack on its diplomatic premises and representative in a letter written by its ambassador to the UN. The letter added that Iran will not hesitate to exercise its rights under international law to take every measure in defense of its national and security interests. This comes as reports said that Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has been moved to a safe location. Israel's army on Sunday released a video, it says, to show an interception of an unmanned aerial target approaching Israel from the area of the Red Sea. The area of the Red Sea has become a smaller yet active front for Israel, with various terror groups across the region trying to target the usually bustling tourist town of Eilat. The Iran-backed Houthis say they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians in Israel's operation on Gaza. In more than 70 attacks, the Houthis have sunk 2 vessels, seized another and killed at least 3 seafarers. Islet also has an international port for trade coming through the Red Sea. Israeli authorities said on Tuesday that despite escalation with Lebanese Hezbollah, no changes had been made at Israeli ports ranging from Islet on the Red Sea in Israel's far south to the major Mediterranean ports in Haifa and Ashdod. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Austrians cast their ballots to elect a new parliament with the far-right Freedom Party aiming to secure its first general election win. Kremlin says Russia's updated nuclear doctrine is being formalized. And US Asia-Pacific nations hold joint maritime exercises in South China Sea.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And in Austria, polling stations were opened for a general election which could see the far right narrowly beat the Conservatives for a historic win in Alpine EU nation. The Freedom Party, which has been leading in pre-election polls, has been in government several times but has never topped a national vote. Economic concerns and immigration have dominated the race, with Chancellor Karl Nehammer framing Freedom Party leader Herbert Kickl as a divisive figure. While polls show neither party will win an outright majority, the victor will have the mandate to lead the coalition. The Freedom Party's Eurosceptic, anti-immigration stance and Russia-friendly policies have drawn criticism, including from President Alexander Van der Bellen, who has hinted he may block Kickl from forming a government. Nehammer's handling of recent severe flooding has boosted his image as a statesman, narrowing the race. Argentine President Javier Milei vowed to shake up next year's midterm legislative elections during a high-energy rally in Buenos Aires as the country grapples with its worst economic crisis in decades. In a rock star-like entrance at Lezama Park, Milei pushed through cheering crowds, singing on stage before launching an attack on the political establishment, calling it a caste and accusing journalists of corruption. Supporters, dressed as lions and wielding cardboard chainsaws, Milei's symbol for slashing the size of government, backed his tough austerity measures. Since taking office in December, Milei has cut billions in spending to control sky-high inflation, but poverty has surged to nearly 53%. Winning the 2025 elections would give his party more power in Congress, which currently limits his legislative agenda.
I ask you to move forward with faith and confidence. From now on, we will only have good news, and in 2025, we will make a big rumble in the elections.
The Kremlin announced on Sunday that amendments to Russia's nuclear doctrine had been prepared and were about to be formalized. The recent statement means the required documents setting out the circumstances in which nuclear arms can be used by Moscow will be updated. Earlier on Wednesday, President Vladimir Putin warned that Russia could respond with nuclear weapons if it were attacked with conventional arms on their country. Also, Russia would consider any assault on it supported by a nuclear power to be a joint attack. The armed forces of 5 nations, Philippines, US, Australia, Japan and New Zealand on Saturday held joint maritime exercises in the South China Sea. For the first time, New Zealand participated, sending its HMNZS Aotearoa to join other warships, including the USS Howard and Japan's JS Sazanami in Manila's exclusive economic zone. The drills aim to boost military cooperation in the region amidst rising tensions. The exercises followed recent clashes between the Philippines and China over the disputed Scarborough Shoal, controlled by China for over a decade. Just days earlier, Australian and New Zealand vessels sailed through the Taiwan Strait, a critical waterway for the straining ties with China. Meanwhile, China carried out military drills in portion of the South China Sea. The exercises came as the Philippines, United States, Australia, Japan, and for the first time, New Zealand conducted joint maritime exercises in disputed waterway. The exercises follow a series of air and sea encounters between the Philippines and China, which have sparred over disputed areas of South China Sea, including the Scarborough Shoal, one of Asia's most contested features. The shoal has been occupied by China's Coast Guard for more than a decade. China claims nearly all of the South China Sea, despite overlapping maritime claims by Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines and Vietnam, angering its neighbors. In Pakistan, 3 passengers who arrived from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan's Karachi airport exhibited symptoms of monkeypox during medical screening on Sunday. According to media, the passengers have been transferred to the Sindh Government Hospital in Nipa area for further evaluation. Airport authorities disinfected the immigration area and walkways with spray as a precautionary measure. On September 20, a new suspected case of Mpox was reported at Jinnah International Airport when a passenger was admitted to a hospital for further evaluation. Sources indicate that the patient, a 26-year-old man from Abbottabad who arrives from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, was flagged for suspected Mpox during a health screening upon his arrival at the airport. Rescuers struggled with washed-out bridges and debris-strewn roads in the search for survivors of devastating storm Helene, which killed at least 63 people across 5 states and caused massive power outages. Helene slammed into Florida on Thursday as a Category 4 hurricane and surged north, gradually weakening but leaving in its wake toppled trees, downed power lines and mudslide-wrecked homes. Federal emergencies were declared in 6 states: Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina and Tennessee, with more than 800 personnel from the Federal Emergency Management Administration deployed. Now classified as a post-tropical cyclone, the remnants of the storm are expected to continue inundating the Ohio Valley and central Appalachians through Sunday, according to the National Hurricane Center. In affected communities across the eastern coast and Midwest, storm victims and volunteers toting trash bags, mops and hammers tried to repair what they could and clean up the rest. More than 2.6 million customers were still without electricity across 10 states, from Florida in the southeast to Indiana in the Midwest as of early Sunday morning. Rain fury continues to wreak havoc in Nepal. The floods and landslides triggered by heavy downpours in the Himalayan country have killed over 132 people. Rescue teams continue to search for 64 missing. Parts of Nepal have been inundated due to rainfall since Friday. Landslides have blocked several highways, leaving hundreds of travelers stranded. In the Indian state of Bihar, a flood alert has been sounded in 13 districts situated along the swollen Kosi, Gandak and Ganga rivers in the eastern part of state. Water discharge in these rivers has significantly increased due to heavy rains in Nepal. A total of 5.79 lakh cusecs of water was released, the highest in 56 years. As many as 13.5 lakh people are severely affected by the flood water. Rivers have been overflowing in north and central Bihar following heavy showers in the catchment area of the last 3 days. The northern state of Haryana is gearing up for its legislative assembly elections with few days left for the polls. Campaigning at its peak, with political parties gearing up to woo voters in their favor. The polling will take place on 5th of October to elect 90 members of the Haryana Legislative Assembly. The results of the elections will be declared on October 8. The current Haryana Legislative Assembly will end its tenure on November 3rd, 2024. The last elections, which were held in October 2019, resulted in a state government being formed by the coalition of Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP and JJP, with Manohar Lal Khattar as the Chief Minister. At an election rally at Badshahpur in Gurugram, India's Home Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah said that there is no need for anyone to worry about pensions under the Agniveer scheme, assuring that the government will provide a pensionable job to every Agniveer.
हरियाणा के एक अग्निवीर को हरियाणा सरकार और भारत सरकार पेंशन वाली नौकरी देने वाली है, पेंशन वाली। और मैं आज बादशाहपुर में कहकर जाता हूं, 5 साल के बाद कोई अग्निवीर ऐसा नहीं होगा जिसके पास पेंशन वाली नौकरी नहीं होगी। किसी को डरने की जरूरत नहीं है।
On to sport now. The day 3 of India-Bangladesh second test match has been called off without a ball being bowled, and umpires have expressed dissatisfaction regarding the soggy nature of the outfield. Day 2 of the second test was also washed out entirely without a single ball bowled at the Green Park Stadium in Kanpur. The weather has raised concerns about whether there will be enough play to force a result. This could be a huge blow for Bangladesh as they already trail 0-1 in the 2-match series. This test match comes under World Test Championship cycle, and if this match ends in a draw, both the teams will share equal points. Manchester United squares off against Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League at Old Trafford on Sunday. The Red Devils are fresh off a 1-1 draw versus Eredivisie side FC Twente in the Europa League phase. For Manchester United, a leg injury continues to keep Lenny Yoro out of action, while Malacia is closer to returning from a knee injury. Tottenham will make a late decision on the fitness of captain Son Heung-min, who was forced off against Qarabag. After a run of 4 straight Premier League defeats against Man U between 2021 and 2022, Tottenham are unbeaten in their last 3 against them in the league. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.